What word would you consider the most appropriate to define the Bilderberg group?
Sinister, I think, is a very good way to begin. Globalist is another way. Empire would be also a great way to describe it. You know, how would you feel if 120 of Italy's most beautiful people, or 120 of Italy's most famous movie stars or football players decided to meet in secret in a five-star hotel protected by special forces and secret service? Do you think the media, if they found out about this meeting, do you think that they want to find out what these people are talking about? I think the answer to that is yes. Yet when you have 120 of the world's most powerful people meeting under one roof, it seems that no one is interested about the comings and goings of this elite. And I think that's the best way to describe the conspiracy of the Bilderberg Group or the Bilderberg Club or the Bilderberg Society. 120 of the world's most powerful people, the masters of the universe, so to speak, are the European and North American elite who meet and decide on the best ways to rule the planet.
How can people be allowed to participate in the Bilderberg meetings? Who chooses the participants?
Well, first of all, nobody can buy their way in. In other words, no matter how much money you have, unless you're invited, you don't participate. The Bilderberg Alliance, a society, is a group of about 120 people, mostly a NATO alliance, Europe, North America, United States, and Canada. And out of those 120, 50 of them, more or less, are habitual. In other words, they've been coming for years, or in some cases, such as David Rockefeller, for generations. And out of those 120 people, every president of European nation is a member, Prime Minister of Canada, the President of the United States, leading 50 chief executive officers of the most important corporations in the world also participate, all European royalty, most important bankers from European Central Bank, World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and of course with all these fabulously wealthy and powerful people at the same table sit European royalty, and with them the representatives of the mass media. And the way the decision is made on who participates is Bilderberg is very good. You can call them the Randstad of employment. It's like an employment agency. They look to the future and pick potential politicians who in the future may be useful to their interests. They invite them. Most people don't know what's behind Bilderberg initiative. They're very happy to participate and to rub shoulders and spend a weekend with powerful people like David Rockefeller, for example. And again, most don't understand that there's a very, very well-structured conspiracy behind every Bilderberg meeting.
So, they are the most important and well-known people in the world. Why is it so difficult to hear about the meetings?
Well, you know, first of all, a qualifier. They're the most important and powerful people in the world that you know, and the people who are watching this interview know. They're people far, far more powerful than David Rockefeller and the Rothschilds, because the fact that you know their names already disqualifies them from being powerful. The really powerful people, most people don't know who they are because they don't appear in the mainstream press.
Can you make an example of a political, economical, or military event of the last 20 or 30 years connected to the Bilderberg decisions?
Well, you know, pretty much every decision made over the past 40 years or 50 years, ever since they started meeting back in 1954, directly applies to Bilderberg participation. Again, it's very difficult for most people to believe that secret societies actually control the world. And the reason for that, it's because most people have a Cartesian fantasy version of a very small group of people who actually move the wheels of power, whereas in fact you're looking at systemic conspiracy spanning centuries. So when you look at it historically, it's easy to understand why powerful people obviously want to have control of the world. As far as the decisions are concerned, we don't have to go very, very far. For example, in 2002, in their meeting in Chantilly in the United States, Bilderberg has decided to push the oil price to $100 a barrel by the end of 2007. In fact, it hit $100 a barrel on the 2nd of January 2008. And in 2005, Bilderbergers decided to push the oil price to $150 a barrel midway through 2008, and it went to 150, 147.5 in July, August of that year. In 2006, they've agreed to destroy not only the American financial markets, but also the European and North American housing markets. And of course, we duly reported this a year and a half before the housing meltdown in the United States and in Europe. So again, you have to understand what's behind all of their decisions is the destruction of nation-state republics, the creation of giant worldwide divisions, not countries, but pan-unions, as we have right now in Europe, the European Union, and in North America. North American Union is being created. In Asia, the Asian Union is being created as we speak, as a sort of penultimate step to the creation of one world, not government, but one world company limited, where corporations literally give orders to governments on the way to run the world.
Do you have some documents to prove that Bilderberg policy is connected to these events?
Well, obviously, when you're dealing with such powerful people, no publisher in his right mind would publish this kind of a book without definitive proof. For example, in Spain, when my book first came out in 2005, two very important law firms offered their report on my book, and they said 90% of the book was subject to a judicial demand from some of the people in the book. But, you know, the curious thing is that, as I said before in the beginning of the interview, this book has been published in 74 countries, translated into 49 languages. It's out on 5 continents, yet none of the people who I accuse with directly their names and their last names have ever, not once, decided to take me to court and challenge any of my accusations, because, again, we need documents and we need definitive proof, and that's what every publisher I've ever worked with on Bilderberg Group has demanded, and every law firm who's offered advice has been satisfied with, you know, that I do have the evidence to back up my what seems sometimes to be very wild claims.
What actions could our society undertake to limit the Bilderberg influence? What can people do?
Well, first of all, stop watching television. Turn it off. I mean, it's the way to make people stupid. If you want to be stupid, watch television. If you want to be smart, stop watching television. And second of all, you know, stop voting for the people who form part of these organizations and societies. If you want to have a different world, understand that the people who you vote for obviously have a very important role in the decision-making process. Elect people who actually work for the betterment of mankind instead of, you know, these gangsters. And also, my most important advice is please understand how money works. The most important advice, a very dear friend who is, I have to be careful how I say this, this individual, I'm not going to say if it's a man or a woman, this person is a member, a very important member of the Bilderberger inner circle, and for years they've been providing me with very, very important advice and on what Bilderberg is planning. And this individual told me that if one day I want to understand how to fight these people, I have to understand how money works. And only through money can we, the people, destroy them. And a good example of that is Northern Rock in England, where grandmothers almost literally overnight destroyed the entire British banking system by taking all the money out of the bank.